A Chinese spacecraft returns to Earth, in the not-too-distant future carrying a recently found energy source called Shantang. It replaces conventional energy sources in a short period of time, and cities see unprecedented and extremely rapid growth. Unfortunately, utilizing so much of this energy attracts an extraterrestrial species, who one day sends ships to attack all of the world's major cities in retaliation for stealing the Shantang. All of the cities are completely unprepared for the onslaught, and are left in ruins because there is no Shantang to rely on. Eventually, an emergency summit of the presidents of 97 nations is held in Shanghai to develop an innovative defense system to save the world's last remaining city. Zhang, Zhengyu, Yi, and Pan, who make up the Grey Eagle team, command the most recent iterations of military drones to fight the flying robots in combat using a simulation that plays out an extraterrestrial invasion. They operate well together, since they all have complementary skills, and because Commander Lin Lan herself trained them. Commander Yi Yun is delighted with the outcomes and notes, Zhang is very skilled at flying. Lin Lan affirms this by adding he is by far the greatest. It transpires Zhang formerly worked on the logistical team that constructed the Shanghai cannon, which made it possible for Shanghai to remain the final fortress to stand, but as circumstances worsened, he enlisted in the fighting squad to assist. Zhang runs to the lift after finishing another training day, so he may go with Lin Lan, who he has a huge crush on. Zhang wants to offer Lin Lan a flower on her birthday, but he's hesitant and uncomfortable about it. He musters up his confidence. Just as Lin Lan steps out of the lift, Zhang sends her a message about the training later, at home, and is happy to see her response. He performed well. Later, Yi Yun alerts Lin Lan to the fact that New Delhi has also been subjected to an extraterrestrial assault, and he wants her to use the data she gathers there to strengthen their defenses. The castle suddenly issues a code red alert. It turns out that an extraterrestrial mothership has emerged over Shanghai. The city's residents start to fear, but the soldiers quickly direct them to the appropriate shelters, where they can join their teams at the stronghold. The city has numerous defenses, including a unique force field that blocks the mothership's laser beam, the start of its assault. The force field can only hold up for so long, until the aliens send an army of robots through the breach, that the beam managed to make it. Before the engineers can repair it, the drone's pilots instantly deploy them to battle, while taking care not to harm any civilians who are still running for cover. The girl nearly gets hit by one of the robots, as they reach the citadel and land in the middle of the road, but Zhang manages to push her out of the path. Just in time, the artillery squad opens fire to attempt and stop the robot from shooting at everything in its route. As it starts shooting at everything in its path, Zhang attempts to assist as well, but good fortune. Yet at that time, when Lin Lan's tank strikes, it is instantly destroyed. The mothership departs the region for the time being, after the drones finish eliminating the remaining robots just in time for the engineers to finish repairing the force field. Later, the committee is informed by the scientific division that during the battle, they scanned the mothership and identified a weakness in it. The committee wants to fire the Shanghai cannon against it, but Yi Yun forbids them, because a backlash would endanger lives. Following that, Yi Yun brings Lin Lan to a secure location to explain that Shanghai possesses the final deposit of Shantang, which is extremely unstable, and the only thing that keeps the city going. With the fort and the force field included, they would spend all of the remaining Shantang if they fired the cannon, rendering the city defenseless. The best defense against the aliens is to keep honing their Eagle team, so they can one day take the place of the force field. In the meantime, Zhang and his buddies are relaxing on a rooftop, having a drink and discussing their future plans. If there weren't a war going on, Pan, in particular, desires to complete and ride his bike. It's free. An emergency call abruptly interrupts them and warns them that the city is once more under siege. They immediately return to the stronghold and prepare to engage in combat. The force field appears as usual. Pan detects something strange. As he attempts to block the approaching beams, the opposing robots are able to penetrate the shield in several places, but they still choose not to assault. This helps him comprehend that this is a trap. The aliens are forcing them to keep fixing the field, in order to deplete their supply of Shantang, and render the city defenseless. When a beam passes through the field again, it does a lot of damage. The robots eventually gain entry into the fortress. The soldiers are forced to engage in direct combat, but simple gunfire is insufficient, and many of them lose their lives as a result, although they can't accomplish much, and prefer to go inside to take control of the drones. The Eagles join the battle as backup to assist. The committee sends a man to trigger the cannon, in defiance of Yi Yun's orders. As the Eagles utilize the drones to start repairing the force field, to prevent losing all of their Shantang, they don't use the whole force, yet it still hits the mothership strongly. Enough the field is successfully repaired by the Eagles, as well, forcing the mothership to depart. A robot nearby reveals that it is not as ruined as they initially believed. Later in the evening, the Eagles indulge in some of their personal interests, and Jiang finally has the guts to ask Lin Lan on a bike ride. The Eagles have been promoted. As a result of their outstanding performance last night, Jiang learns as he wakes up. However, this turns out to be a dream. The team visits a club after Yi says they should celebrate their promotion there. Enjoy yourself. But Jiang can't help but think of Lin Lan. Yi observes him moping on the roof and tells him not to be scared to express his feelings to Lin Lan, since he never knows if the aliens will permit him to do so in the future. Later, the crew witnesses on television as the cannon shooter receives an even bigger promotion and mentions a loved one while speaking. Jiang becomes very depressed and believes that this is Lin Lan. Jiang is shocked to see Lin Lan when he goes to a noodle restaurant for dinner. Later that night, they talk about the strain of having to defend the planet while mourning the lives killed in combat. Jiang is eventually courageous enough to present the gift to Lin Lan in an effort to ease her tension. After observing how tense she is, Jiang sends her a message after she leaves, asking her to meet the following day. He is happy to find that she agrees. To impress his date the following day, Pan and Zheng Yu dress Jiang in a leather jacket. However, Yi feels it is inappropriate and makes him put on his uniform in its place. Jiang meets Lin Lan shortly after and is dismayed to learn that she merely wanted to speak with him to check on the generators. Lin Lan tells Jiang about her training days and how her life has changed. While he performs, the maintenance father was a sick person, soldier who was killed in action. As Lin Lan sobs over the memories and looks up at the stars, she tells Jiang that she wishes they could create a time in the future where children could gaze up and see the stars rather than the beams that support the force field. Later, when the ground begins to crack, almost as if an invisible earthquake had struck the region, people get terrified. Yi Yun informs the committee that there is a chance the force field could collapse soon, since the energy deposits are unstable and the usage of the cannon has made them worse. They receive a sudden signal informing them that the force field has developed inexplicable fractures, so Yi Yun returns in a hurry to the control center to direct the Eagles in fixing them. The field returns to normal as a result of expert teamwork, but at this rate it will only last temporarily. At that precise moment, a robot enters the command center via the ceiling and starts murdering people with their weapons. The troops attempt to stop it, but the bullets have no effect. The robot doesn't think twice about hitting Pan in return, before pulling him to the force field panel to disable it. Pan tries attacking the robot with a fire extinguisher, but that doesn't work either. Pan triggers the self-destruct sequence with his last breath, and Jiang and Zheng Yu have to eject a sobbing Yi from the chamber before it blows up. Using the robot when a force field is destroyed, it immediately goes back up. The squad honors Pan and the other victims with the respect they deserve in the evening, and Yi is given Pan's tags. Jiang gives Yi Pan his bike key as they get back to their dorms, since he had always wanted her to have it. Later, the committee considers abandoning Shanghai, but Yi Yun rejects the idea and says he has prepared a strategy for their final opportunity. In order for the cannon to be powerful enough to really destroy the mothership, the force field must be turned off, and all of that energy directed towards it. Instead of acting as a shield, the Eagles will have to defend. The team accepts the mission despite the fact that it is extremely risky. Lin Lan is also instructed by Yi Yun to remain in the Shantang chamber and keep watch. As soon as the streets are fully empty, all citizens are transported to shelters, so that soldiers can battle more freely and station tanks at every intersection. Each soldier hides an item inside a box that will last 100 years before they enter the battle, just in case the city is destroyed along with them. Yi also leaves Pan's keys, in addition to a letter for Zheng Yu's parents. Jiang picks up his phone, but not before he texts Lin Lang to express his feelings. Unfortunately, it isn't sent due to the present power issues. Instead of operating the drones, the Eagles will have to pilot actual aircraft this time. The alien robots descend and engage in a violent aerial battle. As soon as the force barrier is dispelled, a few robots fly past them to attack the command center. Despite the Eagles' best efforts to coordinate their talents in the air with an army of drones, as the chamber explodes, Yi Yun gives his troops some motivational parting words before passing away. The Eagles and the tanks then rush to try to halt the robots as they start moving towards the Shantang complex. Both sides are losing soldiers every second as new combat breaks out. Lin Lan checks the cannon and sees that it is completely charged. All that is left to do is wait for the mothership to move into position. One of the robots jumps onto Yi's aircraft. After they successfully breach the line of defense on the ground, Jiang instructs her to flip before flying closer to hit the robot with his own aircraft, effectively taking out the adversary, while also setting fire to one of his own wings. Jiang is forced to flee in the emergency pod, which crashes smack in the center of the conflict. When a robot is about to murder him, Yi appears and shoots it with his guns. He then instantly joins the battle with his weapons, firing at the robots as closely as possible her vehicle. She then enters the battle on foot, intent on exacting revenge on Pan. In the meantime, Zheng Yu attempts to nudge the mothership towards the gun by flying towards it. However, there are too many robots around him. so he needs support. Yi hastily returns to the command center where, while grieving for Pan, she detonates a special grenade that kills a significant number of robots, while also taking her own life. Using Yi's aircraft, Zhang uses it to rejoin Zheng Yu in the skies as the mothership eventually moves. The cannon is promptly fired, setting off a massive explosion that also ruins the nearby structures. Everyone is horrified to learn that the attack was unsuccessful after the dust settles. Because the mothership was being defended by the robots, the cannon was fired using the energy from the force field, but as a last resort, they can shoot once more using the leftover Shantang energy. Lin Lan realizes with virtually no hope left, the city will be rendered helpless, and the land will sink as a result. Assuming the dangers, the cannon starts to recharge. Zhang and Zheng Yu keep guarding it, when a robot gets to enter the Shantang complex, and starts killing everyone in its path. Lin Lan pulls the lever to start the last line of defense. Zhang cries as Lin Lan gives a moving statement before passing away, as the entire city and surrounding area start to sink, taking the robot with them. Even worse, the soldiers learn that the navigation system of the cannon was harmed during the sinking. Zhang instructs them to activate the infrared guiding system and fix it in place so he can control the weapon, and to clear the path. Zheng Yu flies ahead. When the robots follow the bait and pursue Zheng Yu, he self-destructs, taking them down with him. Since the mothership is no longer protected, Zhang flies directly towards it to act as a guide, and the cannon fires its final charge, effectively destroying the ship. As the days go by, Shanghai is being steadily rebuilt, using conventional technology rather than Shantang. Jan is subsequently granted the greatest promotion, once it is revealed that he survived by ejecting the pod just before the cannon hit. However, he continues to miss his squad, misses their old hangout spots, and does so with great affection. When he goes to the noodle shop one evening, an employee delivers him the box, in which he left his phone. Zhang checked it and saw that Lin Lan had just responded with received after receiving his confession, using tears. Zhang tells her to sleep well in his eyes, as he sends her one final message. A flashback then reveals that Zhang received advice from Lin Lan on how to complete the application. When he decided to join the army, that day, he had fallen in love with her, and the stronghold was his final stop. The end. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it, to motivate me to bring you more stories like this.